This is what is really going on in the nuclear space. You can like it, you can leave it. If you have a problem with it, then I feel sorry for you. Some people are doing extremely well in this environment, investing in early stage disruptive technology. So let's talk about what is going on. Sprott Uranium Miners ETF, year to date, up 46%. The S&P 500 stock market up 14%. So uranium assets, the high quality ones, vastly outperforming inflation, vastly outperforming the broader stock market. This comes from Cameco, which just released their Q3 earnings report. Let's dive through some of these charts that speak to what is going on in this space. First up, we have an updated supply demand outlook, right? Demand high case in green, right? Up massively into the future, far outstripping the supply. Now, why is that exciting? Because Cameco is the authority essentially on this space. They are experts. They are the biggest company. They're the most dominant player. They don't see how supply is going to increase, right? Into even 2026, in 2028, they just see it starting to decline. So we're going to go through the fundamentals of supply and demand in this video, right? What's moving these charts. But in the meantime, the biggest, most powerful uranium industry player is saying we're going to be in a multi-decade supply crunch, right? Doesn't get more exciting than that if you are a uranium investor. What they're saying is primary supply to fall short, no shock absorbers. Secondary supply essentially out, right? So we got to get what's coming out of the ground. The miners, which are producing right now, are going to be cash flowing like crazy as they just enjoy peak cheap uranium prices, right? Prices have to stay elevated in this environment unless there's some sort of event, right, that can't be predicted. And so in the grand scheme of human history, I like to think that we are in the early stages of the adoption of this disruptive power source. And this is the history of the uranium price, according to Cameco, and how they view it, right? So in the 70s, nuclear demand was in focus, too cheap to meter, right? Brand new. Then we have the defense inventory drawdown, so all the nuclear weapons, stockpiling massive amounts of nuclear fuel being used, right? Lack of investment. Because of that lack of investment, we had a massive bull run as the world was starting to wake up to the revolutionary nature of this power source. Supply disruptions in focus, expected demand growth, right? Then we had Fukushima, which crashed markets for a bit. Commercial inventory drawdown, lack of investment in 2013, 2018. And now the fundamentals of the space are just continuing to play out, right? This is cyclical. We're starting to get to just a long-term undeniable uptrend. Supply uncertainty, real demand growth, geopolitics, climate, etc. Everything we've been talking about on this channel. Cameco raises revenue outlook on improving fundamentals. Let's dive through these fundamentals. First, shrinking supply. Geopolitical scramble for uranium supply explodes as French president visits Central Asia, right? There were massive supply disruptions in Niger, which is where France was getting a lot of its uranium. Now, France has to travel and beg for uranium in Kazakhstan. That's just the nature of it, right? Geopolitical scramble for these resources. Cameco marks uranium supply agreement with China Nuclear International Corporation. So China trying to take away the West uranium by making deals with Cameco. They need this scarce resource. They've already made the deal with Kazakhstan. Seems like France is going to get the seconds from that deal. But again, there's a scarce above ground supply, so countries need to shore it up, and that's what we're seeing. At the same time, the industry faces challenges, including major shortage of skilled workers. UK report says supply of nuclear fuel has also emerged as significant concern. Okay, that's the supply shrinking, getting more and more scarce, but more and more needed because this is the revolutionary, disruptive nature of nuclear power. Office of Nuclear Energy. These are the 5 problems nuclear can solve. Electricity emissions, so lowering carbon emissions, industrial sector emissions, transportation emissions, water scarcity, right? If you have unlimited baseload sustainable energy, the water scarcity problem, which is a massive problem, goes away. Energy access to remote locations. That's the SMR technology. And so because of all this, we have the biggest money in the world, governments going deep into nuclear. New laws passed to bolster energy security and deliver net zero. Landmark legislation becomes law to ensure bills are affordable in the long term. Minister of Nuclear and Networks Andrew Bowie said the Energy Act is a statement of intent to support a flourishing British nuclear and low carbon energy sectors. So we're starting to get the laws, the governments all aligned on this space. Now let's do a weekly global rundown of the mass adoption of this technology. The second Belarus unit enters commercial operation. The second unit of Belarusian nuclear power plant is put into commercial operation on the 1st of November. Together with the first unit, the new nuclear power plant will provide about 40% of the country's electricity needs. Belarus is getting its act together. 40% from this one nuclear power plant. Then we have SMR adoption, SMR power plant proposed in Norway. We've already covered in the last video Finland, the video before that, Sweden. So Scandinavia starting to get obsessed with nuclear power. This company has submitted a proposal to Norway's Ministry of Oil and Energy for an assessment into the construction of a power plant based on multiple small modular reactors in the municipalities of Aurenheim. The company said it marks the first formal step towards the possible construction of the country's first nuclear power plant, right? We're still in the early stages, obviously. Czech SMR development roadmap approved. Plans for small modular reactors in the Czech Republic are to be included in the state energy policy and spatial development policy of the Czech Republic after a minister-led working group examining their potential outlined numerous potential sites and called for the start of construction in the first half of the 2030s, just getting started in the Czech Republic. The National Atomic Energy Commission and Nucleoelectrica Argentina have signed a framework agreement for technical assistance for the country's CAREM small modular reactor project. And so that's our global rundown. Obviously, more than that happening, but so much going on. So much going on that we're starting to see the big, not necessarily smart money, right? Hedge funds pile into uranium stocks set for supposedly dramatic rise. I get a little bit nervous when I start seeing the hedge funds diving in, right? People think that's smart money, not necessarily, right? They're kind of just, maybe they're just chasing these charts here. So hopefully there is a pullback so people can get a good entry point. But in the meantime, you do have kind of Wall Street noticing. Uranium prices have soared 125% since the end of 2020. IEA estimates global nuclear capacity needs to double by 2050. We're just going to have to stay on top of this market.